Good evening, everyone. Welcome on here. It's great to be here with you and great to see you all. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nick Larson, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. Hello, hello, and share with you hopefully a little bit of information that may just help you see you in a different perspective. Over the past handful of years, really pride myself on helping everyday, ordinary people do extraordinary things with their life, whether that be setting and achieving a goal that they thought was nearly impossible for them, or whether that be breaking out of a cycle of negative thinking and beating ourselves up, or whether that be getting out of bed for the first time in months because those thoughts are rolling around in your head saying you're not good enough. Whatever it may be for you, my hope is that with a little bit of information here and some action on your part, that you can really begin to shift your life like night and day, really. And so before we even dive in, what I'd like you to do is to take some time and write down on a sheet of paper a specific situation in your life right now that you're looking for a different perspective on, that you're looking to find improvement. An area in your life where maybe there's a tremendous amount of anxiety, negative thinking attached to it. I find it very important that we have a goal, that we have a mindset for where we want to end up and what we want to improve in our life. Now, I'm going to go ahead and operate on the premise that you already know how to do much better than you're doing right now, that you know exactly how you can get from where you are to where you want to be. And if I sat down with you and we had an in-depth conversation, we'd probably come up with a handful of things that you could start doing and employing that would actually move you closer to the kind of life you wanted to live and the kind of mindset and state of mind that you wanted to have. But what I have found over the past 6 and 7 years is that while a person has great intentions and they know what they need to do, they're just not doing it. Something is getting in the way of them actually stepping out and doing that. Fear hits them like a brick wall. Thoughts hit them like a brick wall and say, you're not good enough, you can't do this. And, all the excuses start coming in. And so that's where I come in, is to help you see you in a new perspective so that you can start doing more of the things that you really love to do, right? And living the way that you want to live. And it really all boils down here to you. That's what we're talking about here over this next hour and a bit, is you. To help you understand yourself and understand why you're getting the results you're getting. Now, they're your results. And someone put this to me years ago and said, Nick, these are your results. And if you want to change them, you're going to have to change you. You're going to have to change the way that you view yourself. And I thought, that's so true. And so began the journey of personal growth and learning about who I am. And I came to realize that every single one of us can create our own reality. And in fact, you are creating your own reality. It's not that you can, but you've been doing it since the moment you were born. We're creative individuals. And as far as we know, there's nothing that even comes close to us. You've got more potential and power that's locked up within you than you'll ever hope to use in this lifetime. Yet often we hear people say, I just don't have enough energy to do that, or I'm just not motivated, or there's too many barriers in my way, right? It's just little old me here. And that really comes from a place of a person really not understanding who they are. You are creating your own reality. Now, that was a tough pill for me to swallow years ago, as I was battling anxiety and struggling to understand who I was and struggling to make it through the day, honestly. Some weeks struggling to make it through the week without passing out on the ground because I was so filled with anxiety. And it was a slight shift in understanding this and just a little bit of guidance that started to change things for me. And so I came to understand that we really do have a problem. And the first is that we live from the outside in. All our results are a direct reflection of what's going on inside. And until we change the inside, the outside doesn't change. A person will spend their entire lives trying to change the outside, trying to get more on the outside. And they're still left feeling like it's not enough. The second thing is that we run on autopilot. 96 to 98% of all our results, perceptions, and behaviors are subconscious. Only 2 to 4% of these are conscious. Now, you've got no idea what's going on in your unconscious mind. It's unconscious to you, yet it's running your life. And that was like a big wake-up call for me going, yeah, all this stuff is going on in my mind and I'm not even aware of it. So how can I bring that to the surface? Like, how can I become aware of that? Because I think awareness is the name of the game here. If we can become aware of the things holding us back and we can own it, we can change it. We can do something about it, right? But that first step is really in becoming aware of what's going on. And the last part here is that most people really feel stuck in their life. I spoke with hundreds of different people, and majority say to some degree, I'm stuck in this situation, or I feel like I could be doing more. Now, the thing is that I know you want more. I know you want way more out of life. It's a natural instinct for every single one of us to express more. You know that you're capable of more. But the deal is that your subconscious mind doesn't know that. We've got one program running, we've got one set of thought patterns running that says, I want this, I want to have this, I want to become this, I want to embody this, I want to be like this. And yet there's another part of our mind that's moving in the exact opposite direction, and it's pulling us back. There's a part of you that wants to basically sabotage you expressing your potential. And we're going to talk about that today and how you can rewrite that programming so that you can actually step into what you're meant to step into. Now, this is an hour that could change your life, but you've got to make up your mind that it's going to be, right? You've got to make up your mind. In fact, you've got to make a decision right here and right now that you're going to do something with this. This isn't going to become another webinar that you watched and then forgot about. Now, you may have heard these ideas multiple times from me, from other people. But you see, it's not the gathering of knowledge that reforms our character, that changes our lives. It's the understanding and the application of the knowledge that makes the difference. And in order to really understand things, we've got to study them. We've got to study this like a scientist. And that's the mindset that I got into when I wanted to change my state of anxiety, when I wanted to start to develop confidence. I thought, well, I better start to study confident people. I better start to study what's holding me back. And so I started to get involved in it, and I realized there's only two things you need to know in order to create change. And the first is to understand where you are. And number two is to decide where you're going. And of course, then we simply just start moving in that direction. And of course, we start to think to ourselves, well, if that's so simple and it's so obvious, then why are so many people stuck? And you're thinking to yourself, well, why the hell am I stuck? Right? If I know where I want to go, I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to have this fear, right? Why are we stuck? Well, at first glance, a lot of people say, well, it's because the person doesn't have a goal. right? They don't know where they're going. But upon reflection, you'll find that most people have goals. They have things that they want to do, that they want to improve upon. Maybe they're not earth-shattering, life-changing goals, but they're things that we want to move towards. And what it really comes down to is we've got to understand where we are. That's where the problem lies, is in where we are. Now, of course, we're not talking about where you are physically. We're talking about where you are mentally. The habitual patterns that we have rolling around in our mind that control the actions in our life. And it's the actions that we take that are controlling the results that we get. Yet majority of people are unconscious to where they're at here. They don't know what's going on. And you may or may not have heard the word paradigms before. But it's this word here that virtually controls every aspect of our life. We all have the same problem. We all have a paradigm problem. Every single one of us has a paradigm problem. Now, a paradigm is, to put it really simply, it's a collection of ideas and belief systems that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And to put it even simpler, it's a part of you, it's a part of your mind that wants to limit your growth. It wants to limit your potential. And it's always there. It's always there. It's that little voice that says, I don't know, you can't do this. It's that criticizing voice, right? It's a program that runs in our mind, very similar to a program that runs in a computer. And it has exclusive control over this habitual behavior. And of course, almost all of our behavior is habitual. Like I said, we run on autopilot. Most people go through life in a lockstep kind of fashion. They are just going through the motions. And then we have these things like midlife crisis, where we all of a sudden wake up and we go, oh my goodness, what have I been doing for my whole life, right? I think years ago I had, I guess you could call it a midlife crisis, but it wasn't even my midlife. My dad suddenly passed away, and man, that woke me up. What the hell am I doing? I was anxious for majority of my life growing up, passing out, constantly concerned of what other people thought of me. I was constantly criticizing other people too, which of course was a result of me. It just all came in, right? And that was a huge wake-up call for me to start to question why I do the things that I do, and start to realize that maybe there's a better way, because my way wasn't working. And of course, I truly believe that for every problem, there is a solution. You can't have one without the other. And so we've got to begin to elevate our thinking. We've got to understand that our thoughts are powerful. It's a cosmic energy that we send out, penetrates all time and space. And by elevating our thinking through study, we can elevate our experience. We've got to develop belief and knowledge of self. Self-awareness, of course, brings about belief in yourself, and belief leads to action. And it's the actions that you take that are going to build confidence. And lastly is mentorship and community. We've got to have connection, right? And when we feel vulnerable in places, it's that vulnerability that is like the glue that keeps the universe together. Because when you feel vulnerable, you're forced to go out and connect with other people. You're forced to ask for help. You're forced to go out and connect, right? And so professional mentorship combined with effective education over a reasonable period of time is really a key to expressing potential. You see, it's as if we are in a picture frame, and it's impossible for us to come out of the frame and to view ourselves and to view what's going on. And I came to that understanding very early on, which is why very early on in my process, I hired a mentor. And I got somebody else to work with so that, because they could see things in me that I couldn't see. Both my paradigms, my limiting beliefs, as well as my potential. I couldn't see that. I was blind to it. Absolutely blind. And of course, that's what I do now is I help people really think into results, changing your paradigm so that you can change your life. As you change the paradigm, you change the behavior. And as you change behavior and habits, you change your results. It's automatic. But the root cause of it all, of course, lies in our thinking, lies in the way that we think, not just in the conscious level, though. It's the thoughts that we take and internalize and emotionalize. And the ones that, for majority of it, we're unconscious to. We don't even know that these are going on. And so here you are as a child. Here's a baby. And we're going to let this image represent your subconscious mind. And this is you as a child between the ages of 0 and 7. Now, at those ages, everything going on around you is going directly into your subconscious mind. All that information, all the experiences around you, and especially the feelings. Of course, babies don't perceive, language and knowledge being passed down. They pick up on the vibrations, they pick up on the feelings. And so these sense impressions get held in the mind and they start building the paradigm, this collection of ideas, beliefs, and habits that control the way we act, control the way we feel. And of course, over time, it builds our self-image, which is the way that we view us, right? The image that we hold inside, not necessarily the one we see in the mirror. Now, as the child grows up, we start to develop a conscious mind. We start to think, we start to reason with things. But we've got to understand that a person will think based on what's in harmony with the paradigm. And so we've been conditioned and programmed with a certain set of belief systems here. And it's what's programmed in the subconscious mind that basically bubbles up and dictates what we think on a conscious level. Majority of our thoughts are not really our own. They're thoughts that have been planted there from our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors, all passed down through the genes. You see, at the moment of conception, the thinking is already there. It's just all passed down. This is what we call genetic conditioning. We are programmed, of course, that way, and then environmentally afterwards. We're a product of our environment. We've heard that, we're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, right? We become influenced by that. And so we've got these ideas that are going on in the subconscious mind. And then we hear, well, if you just would think positive, your life would get better. I heard that so many times. Just think positive, Nick. I said, Paul, I am. You don't understand. Like, I am trying to think positive here, but I just can't seem to get past this feeling. I can't seem to get over these conditions and circumstances that are going on in my life. Well, of course, it's because the conscious mind is not the part of the mind that controls the actions of your body. It's not the part of the mind that controls your results. It's what lies in the paradigm and in your self-image that controls the way we act and controls the results that we experience. Now, when I heard that, it was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to understand what's going on here. And you can visualize yourself, from the nose up is your conscious mind and the nose down is your subconscious mind. Now, it's not the way it is, but we need a picture to work with. And so you can think positively all day long. But if you don't get that fixed in your subconscious mind, then we continue to take the same actions that are in harmony with the old way of thinking. And so this is an idea that we want to pay very close attention to, because it's so easy to let it just slip by. It's so easy to say, yeah, I get it. I get it, Nick. The truth is we don't get it. We're always getting this. We are always getting this. We should always be studying and trying to understand more about ourselves so that we can bring more of that into the physical. Now we have circumstance, and we've got to ask, does circumstance, do results just happen? Well, of course, they don't just happen. We have these circumstances, and now on the top of our conscious mind, we have sensory factors: see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And it's how we've been trained and programmed to operate within the world. And so we'll go along and we'll use our sensory factor of sight, and we'll look down on our results. And we let that fill the conscious mind. The conscious mind becomes filled with the image of the present results, right? It's like I said at the beginning, we live from the outside in. We let what's going on outside determine the images that we get involved in here. And of course, we keep looking at it, we keep feeling it, we keep thinking it, and the subconscious mind has no ability to reject the ideas that you hand over to it. And so the subconscious mind accepts the image of your present results. You see, current state reality is a reflective reality. It's just reflective of what's going on in here. And so if we want to change what's going on in the external, we've got to change what's going on in here. Now, then your body, it just produces an action. It causes you to shift into a vibration. Now, vibration precedes an attraction in your life. You will attract these different things. And by shifting the vibrational state, you shift what you attract into your life. So here we are again. You've got your sensory factors. We look down on circumstance, and a person will go and they'll activate one of their mental faculties, one of memory. And they'll look back in their memory and they'll recall all the times where things went wrong, all the times where they were hit with fear. And they relive them. They fill their conscious mind with the images of how things didn't go didn't go the way they wanted to. Now, of course, we've got all these higher mental faculties here: perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. All of these are tools and gifts that you have to create the life that you want to live. If you just took perception, just perception alone, and started to look at your life a little bit different, start to look at that situation that you wrote down. It's such a simple exercise, yet very few people do it. To sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and make a written description of the current results you're experiencing, in all its negativity. And ask yourself, as you write it on the piece of paper, is that in me or is it on the piece of paper? Right? And you're working mentally to get this outside of yourself. Because if the problem's in you, it's going to wreak havoc. I learned this as I went through anxiety, was as long as it was going to stay in me and I wasn't going to talk about it or get it out, it was just going to keep rolling around in there and keep wreaking havoc. And so you work mentally to get this outside of yourself. And once you can confidently say that that problem is on the piece of paper, now you can look at it objectively. And you ask yourself, what's a different way I can look at this? Like, we can do that. It's such an incredible gift that we have to be able to change the way we look at things. We can change the way we look at anything. And we can sure as hell change the way that we look at our life and the way that we look at ourselves. And you get into the energy, you go, wow, what's a different way? And as you get there, then what you're going to do is you're going to stand up and you're going to move to a different seat at the table. You got this out on the table. Move to a different location. And then ask yourself, what's a different way to look at this? How would Albert Einstein look at this? Pick somebody you really admire and respect. How would they look at this? Get into their energy, get into their thoughts. I promise you, if you do this and you keep doing it until you get to the point where you look at it and go, well, it's not really a problem anymore. It's not really a problem anymore. All these things that we can do to hack fear, right? The circumstances and the conditions that we have in our life. If we change the way we look at them, they start to change. They start to morph literally right in front of your eyes. But we've got to change what's going on in here. And then we've got to focus on it. We've got to take our will, we've got to take all our attention and to focus on one idea. And it's through the use of the will that we then marshal this great power that flows to and through every single one of us. And we direct it towards the ends and the means that we want to have take place in our life. The problem is that most of us are scattering our energy all over the place, right? And we jump over here and we do this, and then we jump over there and we do that. And then, 1 minute we're feeling good about ourselves. The next minute we're beating ourselves up. And the will is just scattered. Our attention is all over the place. And so we use the will to really focus on what it is that you want. Right? Now, we teach people to go through this. If you're interested in learning more about the mental faculties and how to strengthen each of those to a much higher degree, we run people through a program called Magic in Your Mind. If you want more information on that, feel free to reach out. And so here's what you're going to do then is you take your imagination, which is part of your conscious mind. It's your ability to build images in your mind, to literally create your future. You can take that, propel your consciousness forward, and draw it back. Like, I think that is such an incredible gift that we have that we take for granted. The fact that we can visualize, the fact that we can think ourselves anywhere. And it takes no more effort, no more time to think ourselves into an abundant, healthy, wealthy state than it does to think ourselves into misery and dis-ease and poverty. It takes no more time. Yet if a person isn't self-aware, the paradigm will take control of your imagination and it'll dictate how you use it. But as we become more aware and we start to actually utilize these things, we start building images. Now, there's a great power that flows to and through you. And it flows into your consciousness and it just is. And of course, we get to make it what it is by virtue of our thinking. Right? It just is. It's completely neutral. And we get to build images. Yet if a person is being controlled by their paradigm, they build images that are in harmony with the paradigm. They build images that are in harmony with the lack and limitation, with the fear and the anxiety. But if you start to utilize this and you sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and you start to write out, what do I really want? How do I really want to be? You're going to start to build a want in your conscious mind. You're going to start to build wants, desires. In your job then, like, this is your workshop. Your conscious mind is your workshop. And probably most people's workshops are all just a mess, and it's full of fear and it's full of anxiety. Mine was for years. Yet you're in control of this workshop. You can go in there and you can build anything you want. Then you've got to take and you got to hand that over to the architect. You've got to hand it over to universal intelligence, which is your subconscious mind. And you got to get emotionally involved in it. People say, well, It's tough to get emotionally involved because I don't really believe it's going to happen. Well, it's sure as hell not going to happen if you don't get emotionally involved. No amount of wishing and hoping for things to change is going to change it. It's the belief. You've got to plant it right in your heart. And you got to make a decision. And you mix the want with emotion. It's got to be something you really want. And you got to ask yourself why you want it. Right? What is the why behind this? And that starts to build a desire. Now, desire is the unexpressed possibilities within you seeking expression with and through your actions. The unexpressed possibilities, there's infinite possibilities available for you. The question is, what do you want? Now, as you do that, you're going to shift in vibration. Vibration is a natural law of the universe, and you dictate the vibrational state that you're in. You can do that based on the images that you hold in your mind. And you got to understand that the image must manifest in your circumstances and in your results. It absolutely must manifest. Now, there's a time delay, which is there to serve us, because we wouldn't want everything manifesting as we thought it. But make no mistake about it, the images that you hold and that you give energy to and emotion to and repetition must manifest in your life. 6 years ago, I wrote down on a little card that I was so happy and grateful now that I was a calm, confident individual. And I can tell you, I didn't believe a word of it as I started to read it. Not a word. In fact, I started to kind of beat myself up over it because I didn't think it was going to happen. But I kept trusting the people I was learning from. I kept trusting the process in this. And it's amazing to look back and see the change that has taken place. And to see the things that I do now that wouldn't even have been in the question. A big piece of all of this was understanding who I was. You are a mass of energy. And you function on frequencies. You're a mass of energy. I hear people all the time, I don't have enough energy. I don't have any energy. All you are is energy. That's all you are. And it's the desire that is the triggering mechanism for energy. Right? And as you get involved in a true desire of yours, you're going to shift in vibration. You're going to pop up onto a different frequency. And that's all you're going to be able to attract. You see, you and I are an expression of an infinite power. I love the way that James Allen put it. He said, you're the offspring of a deathless soul. You always were and you always will be. And you're this massive energy. We got to start to really understand who we are. And as you start to understand who you are, you can have a lot more confidence in all areas of your life. Now, this is an image of you taken with Kirlian photography that captured energy leaving mass. And they found that as you changed your thoughts and your emotional state, that the color and the density of this energy leaving would change. You're literally a radiating, gleaming form. Yet, of course, we tell ourselves, well, I'm not really anything special, and I can't really do a whole lot, and all these things that we get involved in. You are phenomenal. All those quotes we hear that tell you how phenomenal you are, they're all true. They're all true. You cannot exaggerate when it comes to talking about you and your potential. You cannot exaggerate. But we got to learn to control the flow. We've got to learn to control the flow of thought energy and let it flow freely to and through so that it improves everything which it connects. right? You've got this great power that flows to and through you, that you can do anything you want with it. And as we learn to control the flow and build images of what we want rather than what we don't want, we start to give a great flow of energy to the things that we desire in life, the kind of experiences we want to have. And that's what starts to grow. That's what starts to expand. Is it going to be easy? Hell no. It's not going to be easy. But it's a real simple thing to do. But you've got this paradigm working against you. You've got conditioning that is programmed into your mind that is going to take you in the opposite flow. Right? I once heard that one of the biggest things we're afraid of, the biggest emotion we're afraid of, is actually joy. We're afraid of feeling joy. You ever found that in your life where things are going really well? You're like, my health's pretty good. I got a good family life. I got a good job. What's going to go wrong? Right? Like, what's going to happen? We're afraid of really feeling the things that we are actually desiring. It's a funny thing. So let's look at this again. You've got this power that flows to and through you. It just is. You can make it negative or you can make it positive. This is the law of opposites, law of polarity. We've got, on one side, we've got ignorance, and on the other side, we've got knowledge. Now, a person sets out to go and do the thing that they really want to do. And immediately they start to worry and doubt, because that's how they are predominantly conditioned to operate, right? This is going to go wrong, and what's going to happen here? And as we persist, that worry and doubt gets impressed upon the subconscious mind as fear. We place ourselves in a fearful state then. And whatever is impressed on this subconscious mind, absolutely by law, must be expressed with and through the only thing that it can be, your body. Your body is an instrument of the mind. And so it expresses itself as anxiety. Now, if you've ever experienced anxiety, you know that we don't express it. We suppress it. We suppress things, that we hold it inside. Most people hold it in their stomach. It just sits there. And the suppression of that anxiety turns into depression, which turns into dis-ease. Your body starts breaking down, right? This is the flow here of ignorance. It's this flow where we get involved in worry and doubt and fear. And so we want to flip over to the other side. We want to flip onto the side of knowledge, and we want to gain understanding. Like I said, no amount of reading and memorizing things is going to create change. It's the understanding and application of it that makes all the difference. And there's only one way to gain understanding, and that's through study. You've got to study. There's no replacement for this, right? There's no magic pill you can take to just become aware of all of this. It's a constant, repetitive study of who and what you are and how you can bring more of you to the surface. You got to keep reminding yourself of how phenomenal you are. You got to keep reminding yourself of how your mind functions, because we forget so soon. Often we're placed back into the environment where we've developed anxiety, and so we're surrounded by that. And it takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of energy to change the paradigm. It takes a tremendous amount of energy, a lot of focus. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is worth it. And you're worth it. And so as we start to gain understanding of who and what we are on the side of knowledge, we start to develop faith, right? We start to feel as though the universe is working for us. It's here to serve us. I live in a friendly universe. I used to believe that I lived in kind of a hostile universe. that people were out to get me, and life was always working against me. But I started to study and I started to get in harmony with the laws and understand how things work. And now you start to develop faith. Now, one of the best definitions of faith I ever heard was that faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe in the incredible, and that will permit you to receive what the masses call impossible. I remember one time I was feeling really great about myself because I had about a month where I was pretty much free of anxiety. This is early on in my journey. I had come across a few things, and I was doing the work, right? I was doing the work, and now looking back, I accidentally shared it with somebody who I probably shouldn't have shared, that I was like doing well, and the response was, "Well, I hope it lasts, but it probably won't." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? Like, but I knew that I had changed. I knew that there was something different about me and the way that I was thinking. But people won't see that, right? People say it's impossible. You just can't change. People don't change. No, people do change. They just resist being changed. But when it's your choice, when it's something you really want to do in your life, I tell you, you're going to move mountains. Now, that faith then is expressed as well-being. And that well-being is actually expressed. You don't have to question, you don't have to wonder if someone's in a great mood or if someone's doing really well. They express it. You feel it. And the expression of that puts you at ease. A body that's at ease is not in dis-ease. And that causes creation. You see, there's this basic law in life that says we're either creating or we're disintegrating. Right? You got to ask yourself, are the thoughts I'm involved in, like, am I investing them or am I spending them? Am I using them to create the life I want to live? Or am I using my thoughts to just think about what I'm currently doing and how things aren't currently working? Right? And the more we question it every day, getting involved in information like this, you may want to go over this and watch this a handful of times to really get it fixed in. I've been teaching these ideas for, 6-7 years now, and I learn more every time I teach it. So there's a great quote by Leland Val Vanderwall, who was my mentor, Bob Proctor, his mentor. He had a great quote. He said, "Let us not look back in anger, nor forward in fear, but around us in awareness." There's so much depth to that. Around us in awareness. You see, people come to me all the time and they say, "I don't have confidence. If I could just have more confidence, I would do that thing." And I look at him and I tell him, "You already have confidence. The thing that you wrote down on your paper at the start of this, I want you to understand that you already have confidence. It just may not be in the area that you are wanting it in, but you're confident that you can get dressed in the morning. You're confident that you can go and drive your car to work. You're confident that you can do all kinds of things." Confidence comes with knowledge. And as you start to gain a better understanding of things, you're going to become more confident about it. But it's not easy in the beginning because it's awkward, it's different, it's new information. But it's already here. Everything that you desire is already here. Creation is finished. Creation is finished. And all the characteristic traits, all the personalities that you wish to embody already exist within you. It's not a matter of getting anything. It's a matter of expressing it. It's a matter of building the image in your mind and embodying it as part of who you are. And that creates a ripple effect. The change in identity, the change in the concept of yourself starts to change the way that you feel. And as you start to feel differently about who you are, it starts to change the way that you take action. And as you change the way you take action, you change the results that take place in your life. You change the reaction. And that begins to alter your conditions, your circumstances in your environment. And you start to realize it was actually already here. Why was I so worried? Why did I think that this was never going to happen? And you realize it was so easy. It was right in front of my face. But we only perceive its simplicity and its elegance in retrospect as we look back, because now we've gained the awareness, we've gained the consciousness. And that's what all of this is about, is gaining awareness. Gaining awareness. Now, as you gain awareness and you start to build these images, you got to step out and act on them. You must act on it. An idea without action is going to die. Right? People say, well, the universe will do it, or God will do it for me. No, the universe will not do it for you. It's been said that God will feed every bird and every animal, but he won't put it in front of them. He won't put it in their mouths. You've got to do it. God works to and through you. The universe works to and through you. We are instruments of spirit. And so we build these ideas, we get in harmony with them, we make it a part of our consciousness, and then we've got to go and step out and take action. That's how you start to change your reality. You've got to start to act as if you're already that person. It's a lot of power in this, and it feels awkward in the beginning because you feel like, well, that's not who I am, but you got to step into it. The only way is forward. When you're in a state of anxiety, you cannot go back. Going back means you're staying stuck. It means you're staying where you are. The only choice is to move forward. And sometimes that's just getting out of bed. For me, having a full-blown anxiety attack, it was just get out of bed and then move forward, go for a walk. Right? Now I've progressed since then, and there's further things that I do, but you've got to act as if you're the person you want to be. Now, here's a person who is living in bondage. They have X-type conditioning in the subconscious mind, which causes them to think X-type thoughts and produces X-type results. They're stuck. As Vernon Howard said, he says, you cannot escape a prison if you don't know you're in one. I love that line. You cannot escape a prison if you don't know that you're in one. And so a person will progress then and will start to enter into the reasoning phase where we start to entertain a why idea. Maybe this is going out and starting a business. Maybe it's going on a trip that you've always wanted to go on. Maybe it's talking to somebody new. Maybe it's leaving your job and starting a different job. Whatever it is, you start to entertain this why idea. It fills your conscious mind. But we still have X-type conditioning in the subconscious mind. We're still getting X-type results. The person hasn't got emotionally involved with it yet. It's purely in the conscious mind. And so from here, what we want to do is enter into what we call the terror barrier. Now, there's two reasons you may be experiencing anxiety. The first is that you are setting goals and you're pursuing things in your life that are not in harmony with some of your highest values. You are comparing yourself to others and you're injecting their values into your life. And that causes a lot of anxiety as we start to move towards the things we think we want in our lives, because we're not living authentically. We're going after what that person wants or what we think society wants for us. And that causes a lot of anxiety. And sometimes it's just a matter of clearing that up for people, right? Setting goals that are in harmony with your values. Now, the second reason you may be experiencing anxiety is that you actually have set a goal that's in harmony with what you really want, but it's something you've never done before. You're moving into uncharted territory. You're literally drawing the map as you go along. Now, that's how we should be doing it, right? If you set a goal to go after something that you've already done, it's not going to do for you what goals are designed to do. Goals are for growth, not for getting. And so you'll step out and you'll hit the terror barrier because you start to get emotionally involved in the idea. Fear and anxiety hit like a brick wall. Now, if you're not careful, you're going to bounce right off of the terror barrier and bounce right back down to bondage. And this is where a lot of people will sit there and they'll say, oh, this feels good. I'm so glad that I didn't take that action. I'm so glad I didn't quit my job. I'm so glad that I didn't do X, Y, or Z. But a couple months will pass, and those feelings of overwhelm and those feelings of dissatisfaction will build again because they never went after what they really wanted. And so here's the deal. It was Thoreau who said, if you advance confidently in the direction of your goal, you will meet with success in uncommon hours. That's all you have to do. You just have to move forward. Just keep taking action. Every action has the same value. Getting out of bed has the same value as some major action that you perceive. View them all as having the same value. It's just about progress. And as you do that, you just keep moving forward, and bang, you bust through the terror barrier. You advance confidently in the direction of your goal. You see yourself as the person you want to be. And just like that, now you're on the side of freedom. But the fear doesn't disappear because you still have that old conditioning there. And so it's through the repetition of the why idea that you keep impressing that pretty soon the X type conditioning fades away. And now you're in a whole new world. And now the Y becomes the new X, and you move on from there. You want to just submit yourself to the fact that if you really want to grow and expand, and if you really want to bring the true you to the surface, that you're going to be going through terror barriers for the rest of your life. It's just a fact. As we create, we've got to bust through these barriers. But they're invisible barriers. They're just in here. They're just in our mind. And as we take action, we move forward, we realize it's so much easier than I thought. So much easier. Now, too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears. I love that quote. We are living our fears. Now, when paradigms stay in control, nothing changes. Right? You got to ask yourself, like, who's in control here? Become self-aware. Notice those thoughts that you're thinking and go, is that my paradigm talking to me? Is that the anxiety talking to me? Or is that my potential? Is that the very essence of me wanting to express itself more? When you hear things like, you can't, or the economy, or I don't have enough, or da-da-da-da, that's always the paradigm. The paradigm is always lack and limitation. Right? We want to start to tune out of that, or rather tune into something new, tune to a new channel, right? We don't change the paradigm by trying to change the paradigm. We change the paradigm by building a new one, by building a new way of thinking, a new model, right? And as we do that, we start to peel off these masks of illusion, unshackle the chains of expectation. We release the ingrained patterns that we've learned. We give up these stories of the past, and we let go of the fear. And we realize that it's never too late to be who you really are. You are a perfect expression of an infinite power. That's who you are. You're a perfect expression of it. There is absolute perfection that lies within you. Absolute perfection. All right, here's our mind. You've got your self-image that lies in the subconscious mind, and it's this part of us that controls our actions and controls our results. It's the image that you hold of you. You want to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and just start to build a new image. And then you may spend every day, every morning, when you get up in the morning, spend 5 minutes. That's all it takes in a visualization of you acting out the things that you really want to. See yourself as the person you want to be. We've got to have it in here before we have it out here. And as you get emotionally involved with that, and as you repeat it over and over again, you'll know when it's stuck in there, when it's fixed in there, when all of a sudden you start acting on the things in spite of fear, right? The fear won't stop you anymore because the self-image, the new image is now overriding that, and you're going to persist. Maxwell Maltz, the author of Psycho-Cybernetics, a phenomenal book on self-image, says a human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance with what they imagine to be true about themselves and their environment. He says, for imagination sets the goal picture, which our automatic mechanism works on. He says, we act or fail to act, not because of will, as is so commonly believed, but because of imagination. Because of imagination. You see, willpower is only going to take you so far. And it's not going to last. But when you change the image that you're operating with, that's permanent. That is a reform of your character. It's a change in the concept of who you believe yourself to be. And there's a ripple effect that takes place. It changes your habits and it changes the outcomes because you focused on the cause, not the effect. Right? Emerson said that was the law of laws, is cause and effect. The true cause of everything lies in the mind. Right? Most people are extras in their own movie. Right? They see everybody else as the star. And I'm just a supporting character, right? What do you really want? How do you really want to live? Right? We've got to understand that our spiritual DNA is perfect. Like I said, there is absolute perfection that lies within you that requires no modification and no improvement. Right? Now, are our minds perfect? Are the way we're programmed perfect? No. Because we've got limitations in there and old belief systems. But in the very center of your consciousness, there is perfection. And it's our job to get in harmony with that, to realize that we're all knowing, all powerful, ever present. That's the real you. The real you. All right? We live on 3 planes of existence. We are spiritual beings. We have an intellect, and we live in the physical body. And we can take, and through our intellect, we can tap into spirit. We can tap into the spiritual side of things and pull thoughts together. We can literally take no thing and turn it into something. And we build an idea, right? You've got an idea for who you want to be and for what you want to accomplish that you wrote down, the area in your life that you want to have improvement on. So build the image in your mind on what the end result looks like. And if we hold it with our will and we give it energy, it must manifest in our results. It must manifest in the physical, because that's the very nature of spirit, is to manifest itself in its polar opposite. Andrew Carnegie said that any idea that was held in the mind that was either feared or revered would begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and available form. We just got to have the persistence to hold the image, to really hold the image. right? Most people, though, tiptoe their way through life, hoping to make it safely to death. Right? Hoping to make it safely to death. Jump. Just jump and you will develop wings along the way. Are you going to fail? Hell yes. You're probably going to fail more than most people if you employ these strategies. But I tell you, you're going to succeed a lot more than most people do. Failure comes with success. Right? And it allows you to fully live. It allows you to tap into the magic of life like you were when you were a child. You weren't concerned about failing. You weren't concerned about falling down or making a mistake. You were just enthused with the adventure of life. And somewhere along the way, someone told you that it's better to be safe than sorry. That's a bunch of bull. It's not better to be safe than sorry. Step out, bet on yourself. You're the surest thing that you can bet on, and one of the best investments you'll ever make. One of the best investments. Now, to end things off here, a final fear hack for you is making a decision. Now, most people are not taught how to make decisions. They go based on what's outside of them rather than what's inside of them. And if you want to move through anxiety and you want to move through fear, you must make a decision, and it has got to be backed by action. And so we let these lines represent levels of vibration. They can also be referred to as frequencies. Now, we understand this when it comes to our phones, that I have a frequency programmed in my phone, and if I have your frequency, I can call you and we can talk. Well, we think on frequencies. Thought is energy. It's cosmic energy that we send out. We're like broadcasting stations. All right. Now, these lines are frequencies. These clouds represent our thinking pattern, and the thoughts that we think, and it's the thoughts we think that produce our results. Right. So here we are. These are the results we're getting. And then we say, well, that's where I want to go. That is where I want to go. And so we'll say, we'll make the decision. We heard all the time that that's what I want to do. Right. Now, don't let this pass you by. We do this all the time unconsciously. And in the same sentence, we'll say, that's what I want to do. I'm going for it as soon as I have the money. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave my job, or I'm going to start a better routine, or I'm going to X, Y, and Z as soon as I have more time. And we'll just pop right down to that level of thinking that we've always been on. Right? And pretty soon the decision fades. And shortly after, so does the goal. Because nothing ever changes. Because we never change. We just keep trying to force it. Well, I'll do better next time. Right? You've got to make a committed decision. You got to bolt the door behind you and say, I am doing this regardless. I'm not going to let the outside world determine how I act and show up. I'm not going to let the lack of money in my account change the way I show up. I'm not going to let my lack of confidence in this area change the way I show up. I'm just going to move forward because that's the only way to move. I can't go back. I can't change it. The time has passed. So I'm going to move forward. You see, this is the frequency that we need to be on to manifest the goal. The problem is our thoughts are from way down here on this frequency. Right? We've got to tune into the new frequency. And as we do that, the ideas and the things that we need to do in order to attain the things that we don't have come to us through thoughts. You'll have an inspired thought on something to do. Something will say, call this person. Something will say, go and take that action, do this, call them, go there. The ways and the means come to you through thoughts, because that's the frequency you're on. And what happens is you start to have a paradigm shift. You start to shift the conditioning in your mind. And we start to have some of these high octane thoughts. We start to elevate our thinking, and we elevate our lives. And so you might think, well, why now? People say, well, why do I need to get involved in this now? Well, all we have is now, right? Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time, right now. People say, well, I've thought negative for way too long. Well, today's a great day to start shifting that, right? Number two is that the world is in need. I talk to people every day who are in need of more people to bring their true authentic self to the surface. Like if we all did that, can you imagine the world we live in? Leaders, visionaries, action takers are in such huge demand in every industry across our planet. I truly believe that within each and every one of us is a seed of greatness. It just needs to be nurtured. Everything you already desire is there. We just got to give it energy. And lastly, is change is inevitable. Personal growth, though, is a choice. Things are going to constantly be changing, and we're in a time of change. Always have been and always will be. And it's actually speeding up. And so we've got to make the decision on what we're gonna do with the time that we've been given. Because none of us know how much time we have left. Right? We may think we have a lot and we have a little. We may think we have a little and we've actually got a lot. Right? So what are you doing now? What have you been putting off because of fear, because of lack of something? I guarantee you'll never regret going after what you really want. Right? And so to leave you here today, I want to remind you that the true you has a profound purpose to offer. The true you does not play small. The true you is brilliant beyond compare. And the true you knows within your heart what your most meaningful purpose is. And as you get in harmony with that, you're going to have new ideas. You're going to take new action. You're going to have a lot more life force flowing through you. It's one of the biggest problems most people have is that they don't tap into their life force. Right? What do they really want? So with that being said, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you to those tuning in on Facebook as well. It's been awesome being here with you. If you resonated with anything that we've shared here today, and you want to dive a little bit deeper, and you want to find out maybe how you can utilize this more in your life and how it could benefit you, reach out, let's have a conversation, and we'll build a plan, we'll build a vision for you, and start to map out a mission for you moving forward. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care and have a wonderful night.